FCC arrests Energy Commission DG Mustafa Abdullahi. Alleged 8.7 billion naira fraud. Zenith Bank filed suspicious transaction reports on Malami, according to witness. Presidential fleet operation gulps 4.24 billion naira in 6 months, according to a report. Nigeria's debt may hit 200 trillion naira. That's according to human rights lawyer Agbakoba, Olise Agbakoba. And then IMF exposes Nigeria's budgeting gap as execution crisis deepen. So we'll be looking at so many issues that are related to our economy, and let us see how we can unravel some of these mysteries and maybe draft a roadmap for the country to take, a suggested roadmap for the country to take to get to that economic El Dorado that we want to get to. Our president has said that his aim is to have a $1 trillion economy. Is that achievable? That's the question we'll be attempting to answer in light of all the things that we have seen happening in our country. Okay, when we talk about our economy, let's just give a picture of what is happening in our country today. 8.25 trillion naira. That's what Nigeria spent on debt servicing in the first 6 months of 2025 alone. Now, for context, the entire budget for the National Homegrown School Feeding Program this year, 100 billion. So we're spending 82 times more to service old loans than to feed 10 million school kids. Meanwhile, inflation is at 21.9%. Food is expensive. Parents are pulling kids out of school, and the government says we'll hit a $1 trillion economy by 2030. The question is, what is the plan? Are we borrowing to build? Are we borrowing to breathe? What is it that we're borrowing for? To build or to breathe? That is the very important question we're asking. And is there a roadmap that grows the economy without putting a foot on the neck of the ordinary Nigerians? That we'll be discussing. Before we start that discussion, these are key economic realities. As of September 2025, the total public debt was 134 trillion naira. That is 134.3 trillion naira. External debt had $42 billion. Debt service consumed 73% of the federal government's revenue in first half of 2025. These are the realities on the ground. Inflation, CPI dropped from 34.8% in December 2024 to 21.9% in August 2025 after rebasing. But food inflation still 26.8%. And it's the citizens that are feeling it daily. The budget, 2025 budget is 54.9 trillion naira. Capital budget performance was at 42%. 42% of the entire budget of 54.9 trillion naira. The budget performance was 42% as of July. Oil production averaging 1.5 million barrels per day versus 2.06 million target. Nigeria is still not getting its target, and they're not getting the OPEC target. They're not getting any target whatsoever. The question is, are we not actually producing as much million barrels per day? Or is it that we are having that quota, but the oil is developing some legs and walking away into the coffers of some other people? Because that also is a possibility. And if it is not a possibility, what's the proof that it is not a possibility? Who can give us that transparency enough for us to be able to know and interrogate all these things? And what about the reforms? Fuel subsidy gone, Naira floated, multiple exchange rates unified, FX reserves 39 billion as at September 2025. $1 trillion goal requires 7 to 8% real GDP growth yearly. Current average is 3.2%. 2023 to 2025, that is what it is, since the pronouncement that this is the aim by this present administration. The World Bank says Nigeria needs $100 billion per year in investments to hit it. Our president just went to the CEO forum outside the country and said that we have attracted. Some reports say it was an announcement that there is hope to attract $20 billion investment. Another newspaper reported that he said we have already in 2026 attracted $20 billion investment. But the World Bank is saying what we need to grow our economy, the way we need to grow it is $100 billion per year in investments. Investments, when you're talking about investments, it's not just portfolio investment, because as the name implies, portfolio is you can just pack your clothes, put inside one portfolio. You move when you want to move, you return where you want to return. But foreign direct investment is a situation where you really invest. You cannot just move in, move out at any time. That is the real investment we're looking at. And the federal government is claiming, or is saying, let me not use the word claiming, is saying that they have already attracted that much investment, 20 billion in 2026. Where are we now? We're in the second quarter of this year. So if you find out what the facts are, then you will find out that, okay, maybe, just maybe, we're not making any progress. Tax reforms also, we're putting that into perspective as well. 4 bills were passed in 2025. They raised VAT threshold, exempted low-income earners, created Nigeria Tax Agency, and the implementation was supposed to start, or supposed to have started, in 2026. But all this is jargon, financial jargon. We are not the ones to unravel them. The financial expert will be joining us shortly to do that for us. You have to just stay tuned to your darling station, Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. And I'm still here. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. Okay, as we await our financial expert to join us, let us go back. I did promise you that today, being Friday, there's going to be a day of grace. So we'll go back to the messages that you sent and we couldn't read in the morning. A lot of people expressed concern about what was happening in Nigeria. It's our collective responsibility to make sure that Nigeria becomes a better place than it is right now. So I'm going back to those messages, I'm going back to those calls until we're able to be joined by that financial expert who, in fact, the story is long right now. Okay, so let me go back there to the messages that you sent earlier on, beginning from the one from uh, this one that comes from Prince Ayotek from Marina Market. He says, um, when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu called Nigeria a zoo, you all criticized him, but by virtue of things right now, everyone has believed him. This is not how to run a country. APC government only came to milk dry this country. The only area they specialize is borrowing of money and sharing. I want to remind Mr. President one of the campaign promises that if he doesn't give Nigeria constant power supply, that we shouldn't vote for him the second term in office. So sad that he went to Plateau State and said there's no light in the airport, that he will only spend 10 minutes in the airport, also assuring them that terrorists will not attack them again. But now bandits terrorizing the people have become a daily occurrence. It's quite unfortunate that we find ourselves in this quagmire. Let us wake up and take what belongs to us. Things fall apart in this country. Prince Ayotek from Marina Market. Thank you, Prince Ayotek from Marina Market. And there's also this one saying, okay, please let Rufai go to UI and explain to students. Nobody send him. So somebody's telling you the interventions he has been doing to encourage you to do something too, and you're saying that nobody send them. That's how you want our Nigeria to be run. And if Rufai says that, okay, this is what I do, if he does it, then it is within his rights to brag if he wants to brag. Let our government also come out and brag that this is what we did in the health sector. This is what we have done to improve education, and we are seeing the results. This is what we have done in agriculture. In fact, another ministry was created for agriculture, and that was for livestock. So there was a separate ministry from the Minister of Agriculture, and we had another ministry for livestock. And a lot of Nigerians don't even know the name of that minister and whatever they have done in the livestock industry. So someone comes as a private individual and tells you that this is what I have done, even if he spends 1 hour to tell you that these are the things I've done without any prompting, and then you are saying nobody send them. Somebody comes to you and some people give facts according to them, and then he digs out counter facts and tells you so that you'll be more informed, and you say nobody send them. You should go to UI. What about the people who are listening to radio that cannot go to UI? They should not get the information because you know send them. This is how we reason in Nigeria. Thank you very much for your reasoning, but I don't know how we are comfortable with just being ignorant. I don't know how we are comfortable. Or sometimes I don't know how we are comfortable with knowing the truth and just failing to do what is right, or failing to say it out, or even deriding the people that try to say the truth. Nobody send them. That's what you said. Let's top this Rufai show of knowledge. Okay, so someone has knowledge and he claims to have knowledge and he says that he has knowledge, and you have not been able to prove him wrong that he has that knowledge, and then you are very angry that he has knowledge. I'm trying to reason why you reason the way you reason, but thank you. Maybe you're just angry. He shouldn't brag about the things he knows and he has done. But when we talk this thing, when we say these things, I expect Nigerians to say, oh, so somebody can do this and it will have an impact, so I will also do something. When we were talking about the outreach this morning, somebody said that he wanted to also just be the person to supply all the water when we are doing the medical outreach that we've been talking about here on radio. He said he wants to supply all the water. I hope that he will keep that promise, by the way. because we've seen some people promise and not do those things. But if that person is going to fulfill that promise, that means he's also contributing his quota. Tomorrow, he can beat his chest anywhere he stands and say, when VOP was doing a medical outreach, I supplied all the water. If you can prove him wrong, go ahead and prove him wrong. Or if you can tell him that nobody's saying you, then you go ahead and say what you want to say. But I think that's not a nice thing to say when someone is not using your knowledge, when someone is not using your resources to do what he's doing. It should be your politicians that you should say. Nobody's saying you to come and talk, because governance is supposed to be what you are describing as dividends of democracy. What the people tell you dividends of democracy are actually not dividends of democracy. They are just part of governance that any kind of government can bring to you. But we're lucky that we're being joined right now by the financial expert. We may not have all the 1 hour 30 minutes with him because Nigeria just released him now. I would say so. Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, good morning and welcome to the program.
You know, funny things happen in Nigeria.
Yeah.
You know, first of all, I was coming. I think I went off. I didn't get I missed the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Few minutes. Missed your
lane that
your
takes you
area.
there. Mm.
So, and I said, to be a law-abiding citizen, let me not reverse. Let me go back to the airport and turn.
Yeah.
So went back to turn, and the guy said I was supposed to be in the service lane. I didn't get to the service lane, so I turned from the express to enter the service lane. That was my offense. I tried to tell him that, okay, sorry, I didn't know, and I didn't, please. But luckily, the superior came up and happened to seem that he knows me.
What if he didn't know you? That's the problem that would have happened. But I see in so many places when there's a road traffic warden or something, they direct you on what to do. In Nigeria, we find where there's one way, sometimes maybe that place has just been designated one way because of repairs somewhere. They will go and hide somewhere. Remove even the signboard that tells you that it's one way, and then expect you to default.
Like you said, hopefully Nigeria doesn't happen to us.
Well, I'm glad that we are able to laugh right now. But yes, we want to talk about the Nigerian economy, and our inflation is about 21.9%. Food is expensive. Parents are removing their children from school. Government says they will hit $1 trillion economy by 2030. And then I asked the question earlier, are we borrowing to build or are we borrowing to breathe? That is a very important question. So today on The Brunch, which is the name of this program, we want to sit with you for as long as we can and break it down. No
problem.
Debt, spending, budgeting, and whatever the $1 trillion promise is real or just another speech. Is it real or just another speech? This jargon and all that, we don't want to bring jargon to the listener. Is the $1 trillion economy even possible at 3% growth right now? Because right now we have only 3% growth.
Well, you've hit the nail. I think I don't know why you want me to come. You should have just done justice to this. Because you have said one thing that is we have been saying as economics all the while. You cannot get to a $1 trillion economy if you are not doing double-digit growth. I mean, it has to be consistent. It's not a double-digit growth maybe in one year. You have to be for the next 5 to 6 years. You have to do a double-digit growth, and we are not doing that. So definitely, that tells you that the $1 trillion economy is already a mirage. That is one. Secondly, again, you also said something. Are we borrowing to breed, or are we borrowing to build? Yeah. I think we are doing both. Because again, if you look at it, we want to breed recurrent expenditure, salaries and allowances. That's to breed, because if you don't pay salary, you don't pay allowances, people will not be able to breed. To build, yes, we've been borrowing for infrastructure. If you look at a lot of infrastructures from the state government. But I think my challenge with Nigerians is that we concentrate so much on on the federal government, not knowing that we have the state government, we have the local government. What have they also been doing? Are they also trying to help us building infrastructures also, and also paying salaries and allowance break? So the challenges we have are enormous, and the current administration, yes, could say, look, we've done this, we've done this. But I think my challenge with the current administration is that we are full of policy without foundational background. Just today, I was hearing the president talking about attracting about 20
billion
foreign direct investment.
Yes.
Remember when he came in, we have run to UAE, we have run to Saudi, we've gone to China, we've gone to Brazil, we've gone to everywhere. We are not seeing those investments come. Even in our most critical sector, the oil and gas sector, where is the life wire of the Nigerian economy. You see somebody like the president of the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Norway, which happened to be one of the biggest sovereign wealth fund in the world, coming to Nigeria to discuss about investing in Dangote refinery. Dangote did not go to Norway to look for them. They had to come. Once you have your structures, you have what you're doing. I mean, they say a golden fish has no place to hide. They will definitely be the one to come to look for you. But as it is now, we are not even attracting that. The president is traveling. We are paying allowances. We are paying for the fuel the private jet up and down. So for me, I think we need to stop this propaganda and face reality.
Okay, so I was going to ask you where we stand right now, because the numbers versus reality, they don't add up at all. The 1 trillion naira target, the administration says that they will hit this economy by 2030. That is 4 years from now.
It is not possible.
Do we even have a roadmap that will take us there?
Well, the roadmap is the financial sector. That's what they will tell you. Because if you want to build $1 trillion economy, first of all, you have to have a vibrant financial sector. And that is what I think they are doing with the recapitalization of the banks and the expansion of some of the Nigerian banks and the kind of regulatory framework that we have seen in the banking sector. You could say, okay, that seems to be the roadmap. But after that, what next? Now, again, you have to ask, will the bank be able to lend long-term lending to build $1 trillion economy? $1 trillion economy cannot be built on 1 month, 1 year borrowing plan to make a business, big business in the world. Do not pay the money they borrow in a year. They pay sometimes they have it go 5 years, 6 years as their profit grows, and then they keep on paying up. And sometimes even when they are paying, they take in more for expansion. So, but the situation where we are now, even borrowing is killing for any businesses, about almost 30%. How many business can grow if you by borrowing by 30%? Then you see the government have crowd out the private sector, because the government seems to borrow more than the private sector. So in the all developed economy, it's supposed to be the other way around. But you are now seeing government borrowing so much that even the banks feel more confident to borrow their money to government rather than to borrow their money to entrepreneurs. And so they get 22%, 23%. Why should I not borrow to somebody that will give me 30%? I'm not too sure. And again, when you look at the fragility of the Nigerian economy itself, it tells you that it will be difficult for any business to actually borrow and be able to pay. So definitely, I think if you ask me, I will say, yes, we have gotten the first step, which is recapitalization. But the next step we need to start building is, how can we do long-term borrowing? How can people in the age of 25 that have a stable job be able to get a mortgage instead of paying rent every month? And that money can be converted to monthly payment. What you pay yearly as a rent, you can now pay it as your mortgage fee. How can we do that? That's when we begin to say borrowing. Because in borrowing, I mean, in driving $1 trillion economy, it must be a credit-driven economy. It should be a credit-driven economy.
Are we there?
We are not there. We are not a credit. Can you walk up? Can you walk up? You now, they might give it to you because they know you are working for voice of the people. That's the only people the bank will give. They say, oh, okay, we know they will pay him salary at the end of the month, then we take it off. That's the only people the banks are ready to risk any borrowing with. And after some time, if they see, before they give that money to you, they will write your organization. And what they are saying, the organization are aware. So if you default in things or that your organization will pay, how many people have that that kind of leeway to say that? So when you talk about, and when you look at the Nigerian economy, it's largely driven by the informal sector. 70% market, women, traders, Okada rider, bus driver, and others. So artisans, artists. So how many of them do have steady income that you want to give them loan for them to grow their business in the long term? So it's a huge challenge.
There are two questions that I'll just like to ask. The president has been going all over the world looking for FDI, looking for investment generally. Can an economy grow by just having an external investment and the local economy not growing, or the local entrepreneurs, the local businesses not growing? Can that economy survive?
Well, you can.
And secondly, just so that I don't forget, how would you rate the infrastructure that we are borrowing to come and build? Are they the infrastructure that you think can help us pay these loans, or they're just infrastructure that want to give some people name, as in legacy?
Okay, let me start with the first question that
Yeah.
you said about going out to look for gold. You know, we are in a global village, to be sincere. The world has become a global village. President Trump is in China today, visiting China. Tomorrow it's in some time ago, he briefed the Arab nation, they went in the Middle East and that. So definitely the world has become a global village. And so you have to also look for foreign investors. And in as much as we can criticize the president, he is the number one marketing officer of Nigeria. So he has to market Nigeria to investors. Sometimes it gives more confidence when an investor see your president coming to an event to market their country. And why I think we need to commend him is that for 8 years when President Buhari was there, we went from a foreign direct investment of almost 70 or 80% to 0%. All of them left because we could not, even the airlines, or that can remember at that time, we didn't have a two-way exchange system. CBN could not pay airlines their money. A lot of businesses left Nigeria because of that. So definitely when you come in, it's more or less like you are being a pariah nation in terms of business. You have to go around, talk to investors, try to get them to know that, look, there's a different shape in town. We're ready to do business and that and that. And we have a reform. We are trying to reform the economy, because what happened before now was that the major challenge whereby a lot of companies don't like coming to Nigeria, especially in our key driving sector, the oil and gas sector, was because of the subsidy payments regime that we're doing. So when you remove subsidy, then our exchange rate, as far as they were concerned, was not market determined market. So those were the two key policies that the president hit it. And so what he's going to is tell them that, look, I've done this, I've done that, I've done that, I've done that. So it's now time for you to come in. Yes. Do you grow your economy through foreign investment?
Only.
Only. No, definitely no. But again, like I said, now if you look at the Nigerian investment, it seems that the locals are more confident in our economy now. So that also could bring foreign investors into your economy.
The locals?
Let me give you an example. And before now, we have a Nigerian stock market, which is supposed to be the barometer to measure the Nigerian economy. Before now, participation in the stock market is largely maybe 60%, 65 to 70% foreign participation, and you have local participation, and then you have our foreign, foreign institutional investors also are mostly those about 70%. You don't even see local institutional investors. But now what we have seen that the market is largely run by almost 80% local investors, and also you have institutional investors, local institutional investors like the pension fund administrators and others. So definitely that tells you that the locals have confidence in their economy. So that would drive if foreign investors to want to come. Now, the challenge why foreign investors are always key to drive the economy is the cost of fund. The cost of funding.
I'm just curious. If the local investors have more confidence in the economy right now, why are companies folding up?
You look, when it comes to companies folding up, you have to, like I said, the economic nature is fragile.
Yeah.
It's very fragile because, again, from where we are coming from. It's an APC government that we are coming to another APC government. But if you want to look at the government individually, for 8 years, Nigerian economy was in a whack. There was nothing happening during President Buhari time. Let's call it spade a spade. There was nothing. So exchange rate, manipulation, corruption. I said it in Voice of the People, like 2 or 3 years ago. I said, by the time President Buhari leaves, then they will know the massive corruption that happened during his administration. And we are beginning to see it. His Minister for Power was just jailed some months ago. The CBN governor, all former CBN, you could see those were key issues of the Nigeria economy. So the economy was in a state of non-existent. So that flowed to the incoming of President Tinubu. when he came out with that subsidy gone, floating of the naira. So some company could not stand, because again, a lot of companies that were foreign dependent, because again, FX became king, because if you have somebody in government, you can easily get FX. Some of these business they weren't thinking about localizing their businesses. They were FX driven. So once the FX challenge came in, it was a huge challenge for them. They couldn't recover. So definitely, that's why you see some of those business folding up. But when you look at some of the business also that have gone through challenges, and multinational business have gone through challenges. Business like MTN, at a point, MTN did the FX loss of 740 billion. FX loss alone. FX losses alone. You have the Unilever, you have the Nestle, all of them did huge FX losses. But when you look at them today, they seem to have recovered from those FX losses, and now they are beginning to grow their company, because we have stability. Yes, we might not have that 750 or 450, but now availability is key. What I tell people is that when it comes to economy, price is key. Price is good. But the first key factor you need to be in economic terms is availability. When the availability comes, then you begin to talk about pricing. And pricing can only go down when you have competitors. So that's why people will say, let's have it available first. For now, availability of FS is key. You can go to your bank and use your Naira account to do foreign transaction. That tells you that we have enough liquidity. And a lot of companies, that's why a lot of foreign investors, even if we call them portfolio investors that are coming now, money investors, they are coming to Nigeria. So that, I think, that's what I mean. When you look at the second question, you talked about infrastructure. I think I've said it in different forums that I don't think the government is always looking for an easy way out. And you don't get an easy way out of a complex situation in terms of infrastructural development. Globally, I've been saying that government does not have the money to build world-class infrastructure. That's the truth. Globally, so whether it's United Kingdom, whether it's United States, whether it's EU nations or whatever, it has been proven that you don't have the capacity to build global infrastructure. If you go to even some global airport like Heathrow Airport, that are being run by foreigners, build and maintain and operate. So we have one of the templates, the Murtala Mohammed Airport, International Airport. You have the built and operate by the Chinese aviation company of the Chinese Development Bank. They are building and operate. So you are not putting any fund there. So you give them to operate for 25 years. So you have fund to invest in
other things,
in social investment, healthcare, and education, which is key to the prosperity of your nation. How should government be building a road like the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road? It's a huge economic road. It's a road that's going to pass through about 7 to 8 states. That is, there's so much economic opportunity. Why didn't you give it to the private sector to build and operate, toll the road, and we pay the toll, and then you now invest in other key infrastructures like education and healthcare? Those are what. So by the time you do that, then you are bringing cost of living, because if you are investing in education, then I don't need to take my child to a private school. I'll take it to a public school. So I've been able to save money, so I can save that money and pass through the toll road. If you're investing in healthcare, I don't need to go to a private hospital. I'll go to a government hospital. I'll be well taken care of. So those are part of what we would say that PPP is the new normal. Yeah. Public-private partnership. Why is our case different? Why do government always want to borrow to build infrastructure when it has been proven that you don't have the resources to build this infrastructure? So it's an easy way out. But like some people will say, it's an easy way out for government because it is ensuring in a lot of corruption tendency. Because if I'm a private sector, I'm building, you have to give report to my shareholders. We have to come auditors to look at my books. I won't be giving you kickback. So those are the challenges. So government should look at PPP. PPP is key. Even the United States were looking at their infrastructure and they said, look, our infrastructure is getting more decayed during Joe Biden time. And the government said, you know what, we need the private sector to build and operate. There are so major roads in America today that are private sector driven. It was built by the private sector because of the economic importance of that road to that company. Give an example. Dangote, he saw, look at the economic importance of the Apapa exit as far as the toll gate, former toll gate in Lagos. It was built by a private sector. And then they have a tax rebate. They have a tax rebate. Tax rebates, they have a tax holiday. But tax holiday in the long run is advantageous to the government. Why is it advantageous to the government? The people that are working there will pay taxes. It's only the business that will enjoy tax holiday. But don't forget that after that tax holiday, you have a world-class road or world-class infrastructure, and the business will start paying you tax. So it's a win-win for the government. So why are we not going through the PPP? Because that is the only way businesses are. You run infrastructure like a business, instead of going to borrow to build roads that at the end of the day is not generating revenue for you to pay off for the debt. So you have to, like the loan shark. We have in Nigeria, when you borrow from one of these loan shark, they are harassing you to pay. You go to the second loan shark to borrow to pay the other loan shark. So I think that's what we are doing.
Which means if they go the PPP way, corruption will be cut by a very great percentage.
It will be cut hugely.
Does the government even have the will to actually fight corruption? From all indications you've seen,
I always like to look at the economic terms, economic reality. That what I look. Yes, you could say. The only thing I can't say they don't have the will to fight corruption, because again, like I just told you, a minister who was a member of an APC was recently sentenced to jail for 75 years. So you can't see that they've not really. Yes, you could see. The only thing you have is that how does it still have the likeness from those in authority, or how would I put it? Does it still have favor with those in authority? Maybe he ran out of favor that he was sent to jail, because if I'm saying, no, he has been sentenced to jail, people will remind me of one governor that up to today is still walking the street. He's even trying to contest to become a senator.
Yeah.
People will remind me. So I think what we have seen over the years, whether it's APC, whether it's PDP, is selective justice.
Yeah.
Whoever is in power, when you belong to that stage, those places, they tell you, go and sin no more, your sins are forgiven. So I think in terms of corruption fight, it's a fundamental problem. Because what we have seen in terms of corruption is that you don't have strong institutions to deal with corruption. You have strong men. Once a strong man is there, he's able to handle corruption. When he leaves, we are back to status quo. And that has been our major problem. Even if you look at our Akim, people keep talking about what Buba Marwa is doing in NAFTAC. I mean, in the NDLE. And you ask yourself, was it before Buba Marwa came, were there no drug baron? Were there no moving drug? Why is it now we are beginning to see the result? It's because a strong man has come in there. And
it showed when he was in Lagos State.
Yeah. No institution grew by strong men. No nation will grow as a result of a strong man, because the strong man will not live forever. It's only when a strong man decides to use his strength to put in structures, that when I'm not there, that structure can run. But we don't have that kind of capacity. When, like you said, everybody's thinking of his name. What is there for me? Why should I do a PPP project that will take 10 years to be completed, or 5 years, and at that time I'm no more the governor, I'm no more the president. On that president will take the glory. But in as much, whether you like it or not, you must also learn from some leaders that have become statesmen, not necessarily politicians. But on the current administration in Nigeria, we have more politicians than statesmen. So once you see, politician thinks about the next election, the statesman think of the future of the country. That is why people still will say, who gave Dangote the power and everything to go and build a private refinery, to have the capacity to start a private refinery? It was by former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. And he wasn't there to take the glory, but it was commissioned by President Buhari. Buhari even commissioned it at the tail end of his living, and there was no production. But who is enjoying it today is President Buhari. President Tinubu. That is what statesmanship should think. You think of the future of the nation, not the next election.
Well, a lot of people will not even be happy about what you just said, because when they're talking about the achievements of this government, the first thing they mention is Dangote Refinery. This government. Let me tell you something. This government brought
before you go further. Let me tell you something. If Dangote Refinery was non-existent, you wouldn't be able to come to work today.
Yeah, true.
If a country like India are telling their people to work from home, that we are running out of PMS, guess what would have happened to Nigeria? if a country like the United States of America, even European airlines, are saying we don't have enough aviation fuel, we are going to raise, and very soon we might not even be able to fly. That is not happening here because of Dangote refinery.
Economic COVID is what we have now. We work from home, and we only found that in health.
It's a global thing. It's a global thing. If not because of the way you want your program to run, I would have been more comfortable. I wouldn't have encountered the challenge I have at work from home.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so let's just look at some things. The time is fast spent. I know that you don't have much time.
Don't worry.
Okay, very good. Let's look at the budget and the budgeting, especially like something like the padding of the budget, padding and execution of the budget. Every year we hear capital budget underperformance. Where does the money disappear between Abuja and approval and project? There's Abuja approval and project delivery. Budget 2025 was 54 trillion. It's 54.9 anyway. Capital budget performance 42%. 42% as of July of. So the oil production averaging 1.5 million barrels per day, and the target is 2.06 million barrels per day. So where does that gap come from? States are making so much money because the government is giving them, because the federal government has enough money to give to them. So states are making more money, the federal government is making more money. We have been saving like 10 trillion per year because of the subsidy removal, and our budget is still performing at 42 or less than 50%. So
see, when you say state
the abracadabra,
if you say state government are making more money, they will tell you that they are not making more money because what was the exchange rate when they were collecting some of that money? So
don't even go.
They will always have an excuse. But let's look
in
at
this country. We had zero allocation at one point. They were calling zero allocation.
But they will tell you that zero allocation, yes. But today now I'm paying. I'm what used to be 400,000 used to be like $1,000, but now $1,000 is 1.4 million. So if you give me 1.4 million, you are now saying you have hurt my case, but rather. Yeah, no, it's not like the minimum wage. If you look at the minimum wage of 70,000 and look at the exchange rate, nothing has changed.
30,000.
Nothing has changed, and so you're even less. So that's what they will tell you. But like I always answer them, I will say, but there was never a time that you were giving allocation in dollars. You always give an allocation in naira, so there's an increment.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not. So now, looking at what you have said, you hit the nail. Now, one of those things you said is. Yeah.
Not meeting the target. OPEC target we don't meet. Our own target we don't meet.
We don't even have target. We have done forward. We have sold our future oil. OICs have paid forward payment. We have used some of those oil to borrow loan. Have you forgotten the dollar loan that we collected? We use the oil through Exim Bank. We are paying with oil. We are paying with crude and all that. So we are not even meeting capacity for ourselves. That is why. As it stands, despite being what we are, Dangote refinery is still importing refined petroleum product. I mean, it's still importing crude oil because we don't even have the capacity to provide for him. Our current trend in oil production, with the highest we have hit, is 1.5 million barrels. Then if you have condenser and other things, you get to 1.7 million barrels. Our OPEC quota is 1.5 million barrels. You just said it. Our year estimation was 2.6 million barrels at the point. But I think they were conservative this time. I think the president reduced it to 2.03 million barrels during the last budget. But we have not even hit 2 million barrels because of oil theft. And it's happening in the region where you come from.
Is that an indictment on me? Mr. Mukhtar? Yes, it's happening there. Anyway, it's not an indictment. It's a real fact. Whether or not the people from that area are the ones doing it is another case.
That's another case.
Yes.
But again, you see, that's a major challenge because that means we are not having enough revenue. So government does not have the money. So that's why government will want to borrow.
But is it rocket science to have some semblance of, is it Aramco they call it in the UAE?
Aramco is Dangote now. That's our Aramco. Because now Dangote is saying they want to do an IPO and nations are coming to say they want to be part of the IPO. I just talked about the Norwegian sovereign wealth fund saying they want to key into Dangote refinery. They want to be partner with Dangote refinery.
Is that why NNPC woke up now? Because they had
No,
the opportunity to have
let's not
20%.
go into NNPC.
They had the opportunity to have 20% stake in that.
Do you remember
and they
when
reneged.
President Tinubu came to power? NNPC had about 7.6%,
Yeah.
which was their initial agreement. Then they will move it to 20%.
Yeah.
NNPC, through the former group managing director of NNPC, Mark Yari,
Yeah.
came out and said they are no more interested. That they have paid for 7.2%. And that's where they want to be. They don't want to increase the stake to 20%. You remember that was when they said Dangote became Dangote the activist. When he started talking like if they wanted to make a mess of his 20 billion investment in the refinery.
Yeah.
He fought back. Today it's laughable to see the NNPC coming out to say they want to increase they want to take their 20% stake.
And it was a paltry sum
and I'm
compared
happy
to the value.
I'm happy what Dangote did. Tell them no, I'm not giving you again because you have also already signed up that agreement. And that is why we are saying we should build institutions, not strong men. Because a man came in there and destroyed what was agreed even before Dangote refinery came to be. Because there was no institution. He was the institution. So for me, that's my challenge. So now, Dangote, NNPC, you see, NNPC would have been where they would have been a competitor to Dangote, or Dangote would have been competing with NNPC if the unions have not become politicized. Now, why am I saying that? You remember when President Obasanjo was leaving government?
Yeah.
He wanted to sell these scraps of a refinery today that we are begging for people to buy. To who? To Aliko Dangote and Femi Otodola. They called themselves Blue, I think it was like Blue Energy Company. They wanted to buy it. And Obasanjo sold it to them. But when Obasanjo left, the union were even fighting. They go on strike because they know the refinery can work, and left, right, center. And when the Yaradua came, they went to Yaradua and said, look, this refinery will work. That Obasanjo people are corrupt. They didn't want them to, they want to give it to Dangote and the Todola, and they are selling it at the crap. That was where we missed it today. And that was returned. Then we have turnaround maintenance.
In trillions of naira.
And at a point, the man that was doing turnaround maintenance left us to want to go and become a governor. The person that promised us that at December, that was 2 years ago, that NNPC will be working. That was Timi Shiva. NNPC will start producing fuel. NNPC will... Port Harcourt refinery is being revived. They even run a documentary on Port Harcourt refinery that it will soon be open. Tankers are filing up there to load crude. Today, all that was just propaganda.
When they were saying those things, some of us were talking about the fact that we've called insiders and we know that these things are lies. I know the many names that we were called.
Yeah, you did that again. What did the union say? Some of the unions were saying that yes, we have said it. We are getting the National Union of Petroleum Workers Association, UPEN, guessing. They were seriously in support of the turnaround of the refineries. Today now, the current NNPC boss came out and said nobody, no right-thinking investor will want to invest in the refinery. So now we now heard that Chinese are investing. Let me tell you what will happen. Quote me. What will happen? It might be what happened during the privatization program, where we privatize some companies, and the people that are coming to buy it are looking at the asset of that company, not necessarily the company. What are the Chinese thinking about? The Chinese are saying, okay, we can do PMS, but we can also look at gas. I didn't know that we have one of the largest untapped gas deposits. So they can decide to just build the gas plant and operate only the gas. We know all these things. So then the assets are there. The NNPC has the best assets, more than Dangote refinery. Do you know before now, NNPC pump fuel from Port Harcourt? Not a single tanker take that fuel. It goes through the pipeline to Kaduna.
Yeah.
From Warri to Sokoto. What you do, you see those trucks. stay in what they call state depots to receive refined petroleum product. Does Dangote have that kind of infrastructure?
No.
So if the Chinese come in and say they will only invest in their infrastructure alone, turn around this infrastructure and turn it to a gas plant, they don't make money.
Interesting. Okay, let's look at what do I even take now? We've already talked about subsidy, subsidy removal, floating of the naira. This is more than 2 years now. What is working and what has failed, in your opinion?
I think, to be sincere, I think subsidy removal has worked. In as much we are suffering, yeah, it has worked. It has worked because, again, availability is key. We have it. You can imagine if we're still importing fuel at this time of this crisis, this global oil crisis, where crude oil have moved above 1,000. By now, they would have been telling you that monthly sources is about 1 trillion.
But the man on the street will argue that is it the subsidy removal that gave Dangote, that you just mentioned, is the reason why we can still come to work and move around in Nigeria? Is it the subsidy removal that gave him the opportunity to build his company?
No,
because that is
Dangote-
what is feeding.
Dangote took the risk. He built his company, not even knowing whether subsidy will be removed.
So if
But what I'm saying in essence is, if government is still making subsidy, remember that there are still people, even go back to your unions again, they are still canvassing that we should be importing refined petroleum product rather than patronizing Dangote refinery.
yeah,
So just imagine a government that is struggling. The government would have been borrowing money to import refined petroleum product, and those products would not be available. We would have created a billionaire Qatar like we created during the subsidy payment scheme. So that's what I'm coming from.
but what? Just let's interrogate this corruption angle to this subsidy and all that. Is the solution the removal of subsidy or the destruction of the supposed cabal? Because if the cabal was
They work
there,
together. See,
they're
if
still there.
No, if I cannot face you, if you're a cabal and you have infiltrated my system, I cannot face you. I know whatever decision I take, you will still be on top of it. I will destroy this. I will stop it.
But because of that, it seems as if the government does not think outside the box, because everything they
Yes.
find a problem is ban.
Yeah,
So
I
now they
agree.
cannot ban insecurity,
Yeah,
for instance.
I agree with you totally.
Yeah.
That's why I've said it, that the government doesn't think as I agree on that side that you have just said. Because again, if you have removed subsidy, nobody is telling you to come and give us subsidy. We are going through a global crisis. Global economy are sitting down and looking at way to alleviate the suffering of their people. Nigeria should not be an exception.
Yeah.
We are not saying government come and pay subsidy. We are not saying government come and say, okay, we are not paying subsidy. But what we call structural subsidy.
Yeah.
What is structural subsidy? It's suspension of payment of duties, VAT, taxes because of economic emergency. Dangote Refinery, you have done one of the best economic emergencies, telling them instead of you to buy our crude in dollar, buy it in naira. That's an economy emergency policy. You move further.
But is that not happening now? It's happening.
Yes, it's happening, but let me shock you. It's happening. But you still have agency of government that collect levies from every crude oil that is refined in this country by Dangote. Dangote mentioned about 54 agency of government. Why are we not looking at those agency of government and say, you know what, suspend your levies? Those are structural reform. Workers, what is your tax? What is your PE? For now, because of the challenges that we are going through, suspend so that you can have enough to take care of your family. Those are structural reforms. It is done in the UK, it is done in the US, it is done in European countries. You can't just say because you don't want to remove subsidy. There is subsidy, and no economy survive without government subsidizing one aspect of it or the other. If you look at developed world, what is government subsidizing? Government is subsidizing education. You go to a good public school. Healthcare. Government is not totally subsidizing healthcare, but it's making government healthcare facility available, and which is cheaper than going to a private healthcare available. That is also a subsidy. So we need to look at it. where we were playing subsidy was not working. We were actually making more people billionaires.
I agree.
But where the structural subsidy, why are we not looking at that? Because that will wipe out corruption. Why are we looking at subsidy to throw money? You forgot about trader money?
Yeah.
Where is it today?
Trader money just died.
He died. You talk about what do they call it? Conditional cash transfer. We talk about conditional cash transfer, and I'm trying to remember one other one that the school feeding project.
Yeah. School feeding project.
Yes, billions of naira have been sink into that,
100 billion.
and today it has been suspended. They say we want to build nutritional value for our students because if they can eat well, they will go to school and concentrate. The only reason why some of them are out of student school was because they have to go and look for money to be fed. Their parents have to send them to hawk. So let's give them food, they will all come to school. Did that program succeeded? No. So why is that not happening? It's because of...
But what about the 10 trillion they said that they are saving from the subsidy? Has it been plowed, in your own opinion, to areas that it should be plowed into? Because Nigerians ask the question, subsidy removal has given us more money, money that we are getting back from countries that were embezzled to those countries. They come back into Nigeria and all we see is bags of rice with photographs.
No. You know, I said something at the beginning that subnationals have been ending more, we should say. Why are they ending more? Were there any more before?
So it's because of that.
Because of subsidy. You remember before now, NNPC will tell them they will not have allocation because the money had been used to paying for
they
subsidy.
were not paying any for years. They didn't pay anything.
You see, because they were using it to make sure that we have availability of petroleum product through subsidy payment. So yes, those money have come in, but they have gone to your 3 tiers of government: federal, state, and local government. But you and I do not even look at local government. We don't even look. Some of us just look at state when it comes to the state that we are staying, or maybe the governor is the person that we don't like. So we'll now put our eyes into what the government.
A lot of people argue that if you must give your child more or less the money, you need to supervise. The federal government gives, and they don't care what happens. Even though the states are subnationals, yes.
Constitutionally,
should there be no form of supervision?
No, because constitution, they're independent. You don't tell. Remember, this was the challenge we had during.
Mr. Mukhtar.
You remember this was the challenge we had during Goodluck Jonathan tenure.
Yeah.
When Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala said, "Okay, we want to be helping state to save money."
Yeah, they said
and
no.
they then.
Amechi was the chairman of the Governors
Forum. Took them to court, went to as far as Supreme Court.
Yes.
So you cannot teach me how to spend my money. Constitutionally, I have the legal right to spend my money. Now the same Amechi want to become your president. They forget so soon.
Interesting. Debt servicing, we spent 70 to 80% of revenue on debt service.
Before the coming of this administration, it was almost 100% on debt servicing.
Yeah. So my question is, at what point does borrowing become self-defeating for growth?
Where we are now is becoming self-defeating.
So
because we are borrowing, we don't even have the capacity to pay. You are borrowing, but your revenue is so low that you are borrowing above what you are earning. And you know the shocking thing about this borrowing that they are doing? They are not the one to pay for it. They enjoy moratorium on this borrowing for the next 8 years, some of them 5 years, some of them 6 years. Who will not pay for it?
They now leave it for the next person.
Future generation, maybe the government that's coming in 12 years' time will be the one start paying. And that is why successful government will now pile up a lot of debt for the incoming. It's shocking.
Can we continue?
Yes, we can go ahead.
Okay, beautiful. Let's go on. Since we've talked about debt now, let's talk about tax reform bills. The tax reform bills and new bills claim to reduce burden on low-income earners and widen the tax net. Will they actually shift the burden from citizens to the informal economy and big players?
Look, the tax reform law, let me tell you, it's one of the best economic blueprint of this administration. You know why I say it's one of the best? Implementation will make it the best, but it's one of the best. How? This law makes small business to breed.
Yeah.
But would they really breed? Why would they not allow small business to breed? Why would they fight this law? Is because the subnationals, the state government and the local government, get their monies by levies. Taxes will all go to the federation account. Then they call you to come to Abuja, and so that we can share based on the tax. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But levies go directly to government, local government chairmans. That's why they will not do that. They will not want that. They will see, if it is now the whole idea of the tax reform bill was to make sure that if you are a smaller business, you don't make up to 100 million in terms of turnover.
I think 50. That was for them.
Well, they say 50. Somebody will tell me which of the version of the tax law am I.
That's another problem. That's another problem.
So, whatever version, let's just use 50.
Yeah.
How many small businesses do turnover of 50 million in a year? So that means we'll have about 70 to 80% of smaller business exempted from taxes. And like I was saying, the smaller business, the informal sector, they are the life wire of Nigerian economy. They are the consuming economy of Nigeria. They are the one that drive the Nigerian economy. But will not allow that to work. Up to this moment, you still see hoodlums harassing dispatch riders in Lagos to collect levies.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be according to this law that I've been signing. Eliminate levies so that businesses can grow.
But it seems as if it's business as usual now.
This law is more, you see, that's why I keep saying that the rich will not even want this law to succeed. Because it means that the rich are going to be paying more taxes. Then look at this law. Look at the people that are earning below what I call below the table. If you are earning less than 700,000 in a year, you are not supposed to pay tax again.
Yeah.
According to this law. And the law is so sweet that they said,
don't you think that should have
qualified to pay tax?
Don't you
You
think
would
that
have
should have
removed your rent?
been raised a little bit more? Because 700,000 is 10 months of minimum wage, which is still inadequate.
That's what I'm trying to say. Now, they are saying your take home after expenditure. You get that's why they say you must have to do your tax return. You have to put your expenditure, your rent, your power bill. By the time you add up of that, you realize that you're not even getting up to 70,000 in a month. It is that cumulatively that you're supposed to use to pay your tax.
Okay. Okay, we've already talked about manufacturing because I listed these things to be able to interrogate them one after the other. Manufacturing and FDI. And my questions...
manufacturer will continue to struggle. That's the truth. Because...
Until what happens?
Until we start giving them long-time funding. It's as easy as that.
In the form of grants or loans?
Loans. I don't believe in grants.
But the loans are available. It is the
rates are too high. Why would I? You see, smaller business are even look for new avenue. They do what we call commercial papers.
Okay, meaning
they look for give the commercial papers. That is, they rent because government have crowded them out from the debt market. So they created what we call commercial papers, whereby they ask investors to give them loan at 22% rather than going to the bank to borrow at 30%. Sometimes they do as low as 17%, 80%. Even Dangote Sugar, even Dangote itself does commercial papers. So the banks, I mean the manufacturing company have looked up of a way, but you have to be a company because that's sometimes commercial paper are for 3 months, are for 6 months, or are for 91 days, 180 days, and thereabout. So those are short-time loans. Like I said, that cannot grow any business. Want to see a loan whereby a manufacturing company takes a loan, just like what we are talking about Nigeria. Nigeria doesn't take more money from the bank. They go to international donor agency that will give them 10 years payment plan, 5 years of moratorium. But we don't have that in our businesses.
So these papers are more or less crowdfunding with grammar. You just you just get from here and there, and but if it is working for them, at least as an alternative to what is really breathtaking from the banks. 30% is not a small thing. 30%, even God collects 10%. Why are you collecting it in an economy? Can an economy really grow with a 2-digit interest rate?
It will struggle to grow.
Because
Just like you were saying when we started,
Yeah.
can an economy grow on a single digit? What do we call it now?
only
No,
FDIs.
a single
External,
digit growth.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Now 3%. We have
So-
3%.
It cannot. It's just a matter of time.
It's
So it's the same thing with business. No business can survive on double-digit growth in terms of lending.
okay.
It's struggling. You just need to go and look at the banks. Look at their provision for some of these loans. You will now also feel why the banks are not borrowing also. Some of them are making provision of up to 720 billion, 320 billion, 550 billion for non-performing loan. So that tells you that the economy is fragile. So why will I now be making provision for that? And sometimes, yes, they will go after to get those money. How much of those money did they? At the end of the day, those money become bad debt, and then they are supposed to give their shareholders benefit of investing in their companies. So that's why you see the banks are more into short-term lending.
Make their money sharp. And
Yes,
then
sir.
go away. Okay. Since we are getting to the end of this, let me begin to look for solutions from you as a person. Let me just assume that you are the Minister of Finance right now, or the President, or you have his ear right now to talk to him. So if you were, let's say, in charge for 18 months, which will be like a year and a half, what 3 policies would you change?
It's not
What,
rocket science.
what moves will you make to make the
First policy,
to make the GDP grow
I'll first of all look at it.
without raising taxes and cutting wages?
First of all, I will first of all look at security and see how we can invest more in security and improve security, especially in our food basket states like the Northeast, North Central, and see how we can begin to get those food, vegetables, tomatoes, and others from fish and others from those states. Once security improves, then the flow
But the security situation, do you think, is because of lack of investment? Because the federal government keeps talking about the money that they are
no, let's not
spending
go into
investing
let's not go
into
into
security.
there are multiple reasons why the security apparatus are struggling. There are multiple reasons. Sometimes again, those reasons are self-inflated by their own citizens. When the military are trying to save you, and you are the one giving the bandit information of the military and where they are, and then killing them. So let's know. I'm just talking about those ones are also part. Some of us are also part of the problem. From Nigeria, part of the problem. But I think, like I said, I'll first of all deal with security.
Yeah.
Then secondly, I will look at security. Then I will look at PPP.
Yeah.
It will be strong on my agenda, PPP. So from those money from PPP, we are able to save instead of building a coastal road or building a new airport.
Coastal Road
that
without
money-
procurement process anyway.
I will take that money and invest in social. So the third policy I will invest in social investment, education, and healthcare.
Interesting. Let's talk about another 3. We found out that Nigeria, we import like $50 billion yearly. So what 3 sectors can you rejig in such a way that we can end FX and jobs in 5 years?
Agriculture is first. We have the land mass. We have the citizens to push to encourage to go into
Agriculture.
agriculture. Secondly, we shock you, our entertainment industry.
It will not shock me. It's one of like the biggest contributor to our GDP. So I know that already for years now. But the interesting thing, please, is that the entertainment industry grew without necessarily the help of government.
But just imagine if you have this help of government policies. Today, Samsung is a global player in the world because the government in South Korea helped them. So that's what we keep saying. When you see a company that is going to be a global company, government must not just fold their hands and allow those companies to die.
Okay, let's go on. So agriculture, entertainment. Do you have a third?
I think I'll put entertainment and sport together.
Okay.
Then I think the next one is education. You see, when people look at, let me give you an example. Where I say education, a country like India, they have one of the largest foreign reserve in the world. It's largely driven by what? By their citizens that are outside the shore of the country that are sending
The
money.
diaspora. Yeah.
Diaspora remittance. So for me, that would be key.
Some Nigerians believe that the taxes are much in Nigeria. Taxes here that
No,
like
we
you
don't
just
pay. We don't pay taxes. Sorry,
but like you just said,
sorry, we don't pay taxes in this country. You need to go to developed country and see the taxes. And the why sometimes I don't blame people is that you need to see your money work. When you see
Yes.
politicians driving 4 cars, 5 cars with taxpayers' money, why will you be encouraged to want to? But you see, your stay beside you, somebody that was not into politics, that was struggling to even have 2 square meal, all of a sudden is building mansion with taxpayers' money.
okay. How do we grow GDP without squeezing citizens through more taxes?
Yes, we can go GDP without squeezing citizens when we are looking at key drivers. We are looking at agriculture. So we go to agriculture because the greatest problem of Nigeria is food. Give me food to eat. I want to eat. That's the greatest challenge that we are facing as a nation. Food security.
We shouldn't be.
We
shouldn't be at all.
So when you do that, definitely you are driving growth without commiserating putting so much tax on them.
Okay. Let me just ask you this as a final question. There are messages that have come in, and
No, we
everybody
can
was.
treat the messages.
There's no time. Unfortunately, there's no time. Okay, I'm still staying with you. If you had 10 minutes, just 10 minutes with the president, yeah, and his economic team. If Mukhtar Mohammed had 10 minutes with the economic team, what's the one thing you'd change tomorrow?
It's still the same thing I'll tell you. One thing I will change is I will look at institutions. Let's run institutions, not strong men.
But why is that difficult to do in Nigeria?
Political will.
Where should it come from? Who should be at the vanguard?
The president.
So the president is not doing enough to do it. Because anyway, I agree with you because Yaradua came in, for instance, and he said the electoral process that brought him to power was flawed, and he would do everything to change it. Unfortunately, he didn't live that long to be able to change it.
And we are still struggling with that process today.
We're struggling with it. The person who gave us option A4, that gave us the cleanest election, unfortunately, that election was annulled. We still do not know. We are hearing too many stories about it. But this is Nigeria here. The question everybody will be asking is that, do we have hope, or we should just wait for this administration to go, or are there things that we need to do as a people and as a government? We've been talking to the government.
We have hope.
What about the people?
I mean, we have hope. We shouldn't lose. Why Nigeria is where it is today is because we always have hope.
Yeah. So
we shouldn't kill our hope. We should not allow the hope to die. Let's continue hoping in the midst of this. I like they said Abraham hope against all hope. So let's hope. Okay. Let's hope. And what should we be doing? Let's hold our government accountable. Let's be involved in governance. Let's ask questions. How many of us knows our state government budget? How many of us know budgets? I mean, both projects are in the budget from the state government. How many of us know the local government budget processes? How many of us know how much has been embarked on a road in the local government?
How many of us even care?
That's it. So until we get to that point, we keep on struggling. To government, I will still say the same thing I've said to them over and over again if I have an opportunity. You don't have enough resources to solve all our problems. You don't even have the resources. Create the enabling environment and let PPP grow our economy.
Yeah, but they keep saying that borrowing is not bad. After all, America borrows. After all, China borrows.
America borrow, China borrow, but they have the revenue to pay off those debts. Do you have the revenue? No. You, in Nigerian case, we are doing debt to GDP. When we are talking about borrowing, we are talking debt to GDP. In China's case, or American case, they are talking about revenue that they have that they can use to pay off their debt if they don't want to pay it.
Well, this is Nigeria, and we do hope that we get it right someday. But that someday shouldn't take too long, because if it does, a lot of us may not live to see the reforms that we are crying for now. But like you have said, we call on Nigerians not to stop talking where you need to talk, and you should be interested in what is happening in governance. This morning, we were talking with Rufai Oseni, and whenever we talk with Rufai, sometimes he tells you the things that he has done as an individual. And I was hoping that it will encourage people to also think of things to take up. And then he tells you, when we have headlines, sometimes he tells you, no, this thing is not true. And then we will Google it immediately and read out the facts. And then he likes to use the word empirical facts. Rufai will tell you that these are empirical facts. Guess what? When we finished, so many people sent in messages and said, Rufai thinks he knows too much. He should go and sit down. Nobody send them.
Because
Yes.
it's not.
So that is the mindset. And I wonder how we are going to grow as a country if we do not want to interrogate the facts, even if they are there with you. The other day we were arguing that the foreign reserves of Nigeria have come down. The foreign reserve has come down because of one or two things, maybe global meltdown or anything, but it has come down. And somebody called and said, that means it is growth. Okay, so with that mindset, I don't know how we are going to grow, but let's hope, like you said, let's keep hoping. So, Mr. Mukhtar, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the Nigerian situation that got to you before you got here. And I know that you were supposed to hurry to somewhere else, but you gave us this time. Thank you for your sacrifice so much this
My
morning.
pleasure always to be on your program. Sorry for all the delays for the past 2 weeks.
Okay.
Finally, I'm here. And
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
And I will always be here.
And it was really, really eye-opening. Thank you very much. And the government should be clapping for you right now, because there are a lot of things that some people will not even agree, but here we are. The facts never lie.
Yeah, in fact,
Thank you very much, Mr. Mukhtar.
Thank you.
Okay, that's how it's been on the program this morning. The brunch. Anytime it gets to 10:30, we want to ask you the question: what are you doing between breakfast and lunch? Let's discuss Nigerian situation and let's zero in on one thing and make sure that we trash it one thing at a time. We'll get it right someday, but it will take you and I to make that happen. I'm glad that you have been there. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. Thank you for your time.